Forgive the shaky camera. I'm literally holding my phone as I'm sat here. You might recognise this from some of my photos. I had a photo shoot earlier this year now, and this was one of the locations that we did that. But I thought I would share this video. Today I was just thinking about something. So I've just been running. There you go. There's proof of why I look a bit raggedy and probably look a bit kind of depleted. But I've just been for a run. So the first thing that I really want you to understand, and this is not a belief you know, that limits me or that I'm holding. This is the truth. The truth is I am not a long distance runner. I am not yet a marathon runner. I still practice, I still run on a regular basis, but I don't consider myself a long distance runner. So I still find it hard, you know, I still struggle with it. And it's interesting because I am in a lot of conversations about imposter syndrome. So if you have ever encountered imposter syndrome or felt it, there's so many different angles that I could come at, but it depends on who you are. So here's what I want to say. Like, I own the fact that I'm not yet a marathon runner, a long distance runner. I don't let it stop me. The imposter part of that is the part that says, oh, well, if you're not a runner, maybe you shouldn't run. So I want to try and break down a little bit of imposter syndrome for you. So the first thing that I'd invite you to do is think about something, a situation or a scenario in your life or at work where you feel like you're an imposter, or you're going to go into something that makes you feel like you're an imposter. So hold that situation with you as I go through this very short video. So hopefully you've got that situation. If you need a second, then pause. And the thing that I will say, having done this through from one-on-one clients to sort of corporate, to people at board level, to people at junior level, to people who have just left university, to people that are looking at what they want to do in their careers, to people who are looking to be visible. For many of you, a high percentage of you, when I say, what's that thing that you feel like an imposter about? It flashes into your mind, and then your internal kind of voice goes, oh no, not that, something else. So if you've just had that, go for whatever that was that flashed up. Okay, like, trust yourself on this, trust your gut. So now you've found the thing that you feel like an imposter about. Here's what I want you to kind of really think about. Think about how it makes you feel. And usually, oh, the sun's burning through now. Usually, in order for you to feel the imposterness of it, it's normally a more negative emotion. You feel worried, you feel stressed, you feel guilty, you feel anxious, you feel shaky, you feel nervous. There's no right or wrong answer to this, but whatever it is that you feel, like, notice that. So the first thing I want you to do is to ask yourself a question, and like, get yourself pen and paper if you need to. And if you need to pause this video, do pause it. Ask yourself the question. Let's say you're feeling nervous about it. Ask yourself this first question. What would I feel rather than nervous? Now, it's interesting because most people will assume that it will be the exact polar opposite, but it isn't. So depending on the thing that you're thinking of, and depending on what it is for you, ask yourself, what is it that I would rather feel other than whatever the word is, nervous? And just note down on a piece of paper what that is. Now, a word to the wise, if you've just written down, well, I don't want to feel nervous, I'd rather feel guilty, then I would maybe revisit that and have a look. But there'll be something that you want to feel. It could be that you want to feel strong. It could be you want to feel confident. It could be that you want to feel like you've mastered it. You know, nobody else can tell you what that is apart from you, even if they're going through the same scenario and feeling imposter on that. So now you've looked at, well, what's the opposite of that thing? Or not what's the opposite, but what's the thing that I'd rather feel instead? Now you've looked at that thing, and you've written that emotion, it will be down. And this is what I had to do with my running. I felt, and at times feel like, what am I doing? I've entered the London Marathon. There are going to be people watching. There are going to be spectators. I haven't even run 17 miles straight yet, and it's in 5 weeks from the time I'm recording this video. This makes me feel nervous. So I've written what I want to feel instead. But here's what you do with the kind of the negative, anxious, nervous, whatever else. I wondered, well, what is it that I'm feeling nervous about? And actually, when I looked into this, and this is like across the board, you know, as I say, I've coached thousands of people now over the years. I've been doing this officially in my business for 12 years at the time of recording, and unofficially, people have been coming to me at work in their careers for, dare I say, nearly 30 years. What is that thing? What is that reason why you're feeling that way in the first place? And honestly, when I answer the question for myself, the reason I feel nervous about it is because I know I haven't practiced as much as I could have done. You know, I know that I haven't gone out as much as I could have done. And sometimes, even though I had the dates that I needed to go out, you know, a day of running, a day of rest, I still chose to sit in and not go out. That's all on me. But this isn't about blaming myself. This is about acknowledging what it is that makes me feel the way that I was feeling nervous. So now I know what that is. My first strategy is, what would I rather feel instead? You know what? I'd rather feel relaxed, I think is the word that comes into it. So from nervous to relaxed. And now I know I would rather feel relaxed. Then I can think, well, given that I haven't practiced as much as I could have done, what can I do instead? You know what? I can always walk the marathon. Here's the other thing that I realised. I had set up a donation, just giving page, and that's unfortunately closed. So I haven't set one up for this year. So what would make me feel better, even if I walk it, is if I'm raising money and supporting other people. That's a big driver for me. So given that I could walk the whole thing if I needed to, and I could raise money for good causes and help other people, that feeling of nervousness has dissipated. So let's go back to the scenario where you feel imposter. What's the negative emotion that you're feeling, and what would you rather feel instead? Write that down. Then what's the underlying reason that you feel that negative emotion? You don't even need to share it. I'm not asking you to type it in the comments, although if you want to, you can. You never know, it could help someone else as well. And now you know why that is. It's like a practical question. So what are you going to do about it? And in my case, it was, I will get my fundraising page up because I can tell people, holding myself very publicly accountable. I can help people along the way, I can raise money for good causes, and I can walk it. Great. Absolutely great. Now you've got those things, and these are things, surprisingly, that have been available to you all along, and you've probably likely never even thought about before. Now you've got those. Now notice how different that imposter syndrome feels on that specific thing that you were thinking about. Now, if you're like many of the people I speak to, myself included, and you think, well, that's all well and good, now I've ticked that thing off my list, I also feel imposter for this thing and this thing. Just go back and do this exercise again, but just focus on one thing at a time, because each emotion will feel different for each thing. Each resolution, each solution will be different for each thing. And don't try to make sense of this. Don't overthink this. There is no rhyme or reason. You will just feel how you feel, and let that be okay. Don't let anybody else, number one, guilt you into how you feel. Number two, don't accept anyone else forcing their ideas or opinions. And this can come really subtly. You could be chatting with friends, chatting with family, and they could say, oh, don't worry about it because you're going to feel like this when you've done it, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. Yeah, all of that could be true, but you need to access how you're going to feel, not how someone else is going to feel. You can't live your dreams vicariously through someone else's expectations of you. So I hope this helps. And I'd be interested to know, more than anything, what kind of things that you thought of when you went for this. So for any of you who are feeling the imposter syndrome piece at work or in your career, this totally works for that too. Let me know how it goes. Bye for now.